Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Shame and scandal in the family. Woe is me. Shame in the family. In Nassau town there was a family. A lot of confusion you will see. A mama and a papa. The boy was grown. He wanted to live a life of his own. He found a girl that treated him nice. He went to his daddy with little advice. Daddy said, son, I must let you know that girl is your sister, but mommy don't know. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is me. Shame in the family.
Whoa, is me.
Shame and scandal in the family. What I gotta do with GPS? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. And boy, we're going to have a little bit of fun today, although it's a serious matter. I decided to start the show with that song today, classic Caribbean song, because based on this Privy Council ruling and the narrative that is out there that we will have to use DNA evidence to prove who the father of these children really are, the fathers of these children really are, before we hand out citizenship. That could be a little challenge. Because, you know, like the song say, woe is me. Because, you know, anybody could sign a piece of paper and say, I's the daddy. Anybody could come to you and tell you, say, this your child I carrying. But woe is me if them DNA evidence prove otherwise. And it's interesting to hear what some people have to say with regard to that, as to what the fallout will be if DNA evidence is going to be required. You're going to have all kind of upsetness as a result. So I'm calling the show today, Woe is Me, looking at the implications of the Privy Council ruling on the interpretation of our Constitution as it relates to citizenship and what that could mean if we use DNA evidence, which quite frankly is the only thing that I think we can use in such a case as this to determine whether or not paternity is right in each case. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line 8010271, 8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and the Global 99.5 FM Facebook pages. We're also streaming to our YouTube channels. And we are also being aired on Cable Bahamas Channel 974 and on Global Radio 99.5 FM. And it is at this point that I'm going to bring my guest, whose camera just fell off when I said that, off the call. So hopefully he'll get back on real quick. My guest today is a man, a Bahamian man, who himself was faced with the situation of having a child with a foreign woman when he was not married and not being able to pass his citizenship on to his child. And now that this ruling has been passed or ruling has been recommended, he is elated. But he acknowledges that this could be a Pandora's box, and are we ready for that box? So while we wait for him to get back on the call, because his connection just fell off. We already have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, good afternoon, Michelle. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. This topic is back up again.
Yes, ma'am.
But like I said, if we're going to go the DNA route, we need an outside entity, a trustworthy outside entity to fill in for this, because it will open up a Pandora's box. And I don't think that it just only should be for married men. I think it should be for unmarried also, because you do have those that are out there that are not married and they have kids with foreigners.
Well, this particular ruling really only applied to those who were unmarried at the time the child was born. So this really doesn't have any impact, at least from what I understand. And I just brought my guest into the studio, C. Alan Johnson. Welcome to the show, C. Alan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bahamas.
This particular ruling was specifically with regard to Bahamian men who were single and had children with foreign women.
Though, Michelle, I think they should also have it for married men too, because there are some kids that are out there. I mean, and that's too bad for the married men if they choose to sow their while out while they were still married.
This addresses that.
Kids that are out there that would like to be a Bahamian citizen, and they are Bahamians. They have Bahamian staff.
See, Alan, what did you say just now?
I said this addresses that. This basically, I don't want to use the word married in this, because what happens is, because the Constitution addresses, this deals with citizenship of children born to Bahamian parents, male or female, in the Bahamas. This covers, when you look from a constitutional standpoint, it doesn't matter whether you're married or unmarried or the child of a married man. It is. It covers all of that. The key is to this conversation is, how do you establish paternity even when your father refuses to acknowledge you? Because the only way for you to have access to this is the acknowledgement by the individual that you are a child of theirs.
But here's the thing, though. You may have some cases where, pardon me, caller?
I'll sit in and listen.
All right, thanks for calling. You may have some cases where the father acknowledges, but when you go to the DNA route, come to find out he was acknowledging for child with an AS.
Right. That's the first. Let's before we get into the complexity that could happen from this, the mere fact is for them to understand what the ruling did. In the Bahamas, we have been misinterpreting the definition of the word parents comparative to the word father and mother. Yes, they are your parent, but the Constitution gave what is called enshrined protection to number 6 in the Constitution to a child born to the parents whose parents is Bahamian. We have been interpreting that to mean that it's only in cases of marriage. I have to look for the word. It's a word meaning child of no father. Mm-hmm. And so we've been misapplying that to this number 6 in the Constitution. And essentially the Privy Council ruled that it wasn't dealing. We was applying number 14 in the Constitution, saying unmarried individuals referred to the mother. And so the Privy Council clarified and says the architects of the Constitution did not make a mistake when they used the word parent as opposed to mother and father like they did in the other citizenship articles. So now it covers anyone with a Bahamian parent born in the Bahamas. It doesn't address married, unmarried, or anything of that sort. And so the complexity comes in when you have a married man who may have a child with a foreign woman that refuses to acknowledge that child. And then you have where you begin to come into the complexity of now we must make a determination as to what is the benchmark we will use to establish parentage. Now, I want to use the word parentage very deliberately because we are now having a conversation about citizenship, not paternity and maternity. Citizenship is a level above that. And the rules for for citizenship is greater than the rules for maternity and paternity. You could assume those things and the court could order those things. But now we have to set a benchmark on how do you transfer citizenship that could very well have what is called a cascading impact. Because what you have now is derivative citizenship that a lot of people talk about citizenship. And I want people to remember that word derivative citizenship because it's a powerful word because when you convey citizenship on another person, you could be conveying it on dozens or even hundreds of other individuals also. It isn't just that individual because that individual also possesses the ability to pass citizenship on. And I'm hoping we could address one of the things where we talk about this discrimination in the Constitution to understand why these things existed in the citizenship laws, and our leadership may have been misinterpreting those also when you look at the full context of what the intent of each one was.
Okay, so let us go back to where this whole thing started with regard to the Privy Council ruling. Wayne Monroe, who was then not a minister of government, got involved in this when a particular client came to him saying that my son is about to be deported, a Bahamian man, about to be deported from the country because his mother, who I believe was Jamaican, and I weren't married at the time, and because he has no citizenship, they're about to deport my son. Here now is Wayne Monroe speaking about this ruling and his role to get this as far as the Privy Council, the role that he played in all of this. And here's his thoughts on the ruling.
It's a journey that started with now National Security Minister Wayne Monroe, who is also an attorney at law that represented Shannon Roll and his sibling.
It was about, again, young people. It was about a journey I got on about 15 years ago when a policeman came to me and said they were going to deport his son because he wasn't married to the mother and the mother was a Jamaican. And as a father, it offended me that you could have a child, a Bahamian man could have a child in the Bahamas, and someone talking about deporting them to a country that they've never been to. It's all a part of celebrating what it is to be Bahamian. You're born here, you're born here. And so now, hopefully, for that class of people, instead of being called Haitian, Jamaican, something else for the first 18 years of their life, they'll be Bahamian from day one.
According to former Attorney General and Chairman of the Constitutional Commission, Sean McQueeney, the ruling will be retroactive. This according to Monroe, who says it can save many from deportation.
Like the previous administration deported the two young boys who were also in the case back to Haiti, back to what is now turmoil, And here it is, if they are in fact the children of this man, we've deported Bahamians to Haiti, a foreign country to them.
And he says he is hopeful that the move can lessen xenophobia and discrimination in country and encourage Bahamians to celebrate the different heritages around us.
We call people Haitian, Jamaican for the first 18 years of their life. Then when they get citizenship, we get upset because they continue to go to Haitian Flag Day or Jamaican Flag Day. That's what we call them for the first 18 years. Fortunately for this class of Bahamians, they will be called Bahamians from day one.
Now, as you would have heard in that report, this obviously is going to create quite a challenge because this is retroactive, meaning this goes back to July 9th, 1973. Thousands of people between 1973 and now would have been impacted by the interpretation that was governing the rule of the day, or whatever you want to call it.
You could, Michelle, I would move that into the closer to about 10,000 and in the 10,000, because what we have is the word. Remember I said you derivative?
Mm-hmm.
If I retroactively go back and make someone a citizen in 1974, every child and grandchild that's been born to that person since then would also have to be given citizenship, because at the time of that person's birth, that person was a citizenship with the right to a transferred citizenship to another person that they give birth to. This is why what people have to understand, this is not simply giving someone citizenship. This is something giving what is called derivative citizenship that cascades. If that person, male or female, went out of the country, except for the male, the unmarried male, and had children outside of the country, even in Haiti, let's say we did remove somebody to Haiti 20 years ago, 30 years ago, any children born to that person, if it's a female that is married, would be single in Haiti would be citizens on the instant, have the right to citizenship on the instance of their birth. And even a female in Haiti that's married, that child would have the right to be granted citizenship between the ages of 18 and 21 for a child born to a married Bahamian woman outside of the country. The only saving grace is where we continuously seem to miss is the fact that a Bahamian male having children anywhere in the world does not have a right. Children does not have a right to citizenship. And that's the only, if you want to use the word, discrimination that exists in the Constitution. And the reason for that was that even a Bahamian woman that's married to a foreigner generally have 1, 2, or 3 children per year, depending on twins or triplets. A Bahamian man can have thousands of kids per year. And that's why that discrimination was put into the Constitution, saying that once you have departed from the country, there's a presumption that if you move permanently away, that you would may be seeding the world. And if you do have a child, you could put in law the ability for you to transfer citizenship. Is just not a protected right. I want people to understand. We often use the word law and Constitution interchangeably. The Constitution gives no rights to anyone. The Constitution protects rights. The Constitution allows for discrimination and or what we call permits, and the Constitution prevents certain things. So essentially what the Constitution is, it moved to protect, out of the 8 different things, it protects rights of women, married and unmarried outside of the Bahamas, married and unmarried in the Bahamas. It protects rights now in this interpretation for Bahamian men, married or unmarried in the Bahamas, but only married Bahamian men outside of the Bahamas. And so, I want you to pay attention to that. Technically, for the married Bahamian men outside of the country, it is the citizenship doesn't technically come through the Bahamian man that's married. It becomes through his wife, who becomes a citizen through being married to him. That's part of an application of constitutional law. And so when we talk about this Bahamian men, women who have married a Bahamian man becoming citizen, there was an intent at the original point of the Constitution as a protection for women who was considered chattel at that time. I don't want to go into the constitutional argument. It's just a brief primer for individuals. But now
Okay, his video is frozen. For those of you listening by way of radio, wondering what's happening.
Are you seeing me now?
Okay, we got you now. Yeah.
Okay, just saying that with the exception of Bahamian men, single Bahamian men outside of the Bahamas, we have the ability of protected citizenship that is granted in the Constitution. But I want people to understand the laws of the Bahamas allows them to create laws to give citizenship on the instant. And this is why it's important for us to begin to understand and follow the changes that's about to happen. The Constitution only protects certain rights, but you could give rights to Bahamians, no matter where they are in the world, whether they're single or married, and even to foreigners, the ability to pass on right, even if they're not citizen in law, because the Constitution doesn't prevent it. And so every time we hear people say, my Constitution right, we need to stop that and look at the laws of the Bahamas, because the Constitution is like the blueprint for creating the house. The rules of the house is what governs us. And so we must, and I would like for us to begin to look at the rules of citizenship. Now, back to the topic of this subject today concerning children born to Bahamian women in the Bahamas, children born to Bahamian men in the Bahamas, married or single. And that's what this Constitution did, was made it absolute. Any child born to a Bahamian parent, male or female, in the Bahamas, on a ship registered in the Bahamas, or on a plane registered in the Bahamas, is a citizen of the Bahamas.
Okay, so we have to take a break, but the bottom line here is this. In your opinion, why do you believe that this is a Pandora's box that many people don't want open? Don't answer me yet. We're going to have you answer that on the other side of the break, because we have to take a break, and I know how you go. So, so let's take this break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this Pandora's box that has been opened as a result of this ruling, because this is going to be so far-reaching now as it relates to who is your daddy. You know, that your daddy ain't your daddy.
And in some instances, it's also who's your mother.
And who's your mommy. But, the thing is,
we can split it after the break.
Yeah. Let's go to this break. Y'all like and share the show, because we about to, go someplace where some people wishing we wouldn't. But it is what it is. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Less is love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Is me, shame and scandal in the family. Is me, shame and the family. In that sort time there was a family. A lot of confusion you will see. A mama and a papa, the boy was grown. He wanted to live a life of his own. He found a girl that treated him nice. He went to his daddy, made little advice. Daddy said, son, I must let you know that girl is your sister, but mommy don't know. Who is me? Shame and scandal in the family. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is me. Shame in the family.
The sounds of Count Bernardino. Woe is me. We're looking at the implications of the Privy Council ruling on today's GPS. The telephone numbers to call to be a part of the show: 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. WhatsApp line is 8010271, 8010271, where you can call or text us. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages, as well as on our YouTube channels. And of course, you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974 and on the radio dial at Global 99.5 FM. My guest today is C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about the Privy Council ruling, the recommendation that DNA evidence be required to confirm.
No, Michelle, that's not a recommendation. This is a discussion. But I'm saying, as a scientific person, I think DNA should be the ultimate requirement for both male and female.
Well, I saw in the paper where they said one of the dailies where they were talking about the Privy Council recommending that DNA evidence be
yes, used. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying to you. They're saying, but I'm saying in the Bahamas, we've had arguments from leadership against DNA evidence, and I want to have the discussion as to why that evidence.
Yeah, we can get into that right now, but we already have callers on the line. Hi. Okay, let's go to producer. Are we ready for the first caller? Yes? No? What? No? Are we ready? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good, turn it up. We press turn it up.
Hello? Caller, you're on the air.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm a religious listening to your show.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell the truth, we sick of C. Allen Johnson. We sick of him. He is not.
Okay, that's what you call to say?
I mean, hear what he has to say.
You still on the line, sir? Hello? Okay.
Yeah. The point is, C. Allen saying some things what he ain't supposed to say. The whole idea, everything that went to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council saying the same thing what the Constitution is saying. But he tried to twist that around and saying some other foolishness. But this and all that. Nobody tell him get no children, no I shouldn't.
What?
Hold on. First of all, sir, the child that he had, the one that's not Haitian, that's the first beginning, like we like to say in the Bahamas. Okay? And I don't remember hearing C. Allen say on this show, not to say that he can't defend himself, but I hear him say anything different from what the Privy Council saying on the show. So I
ain't mentioned my kids either.
It is what it is. So let's stay focused. Let's stay focused now. Okay. Okay. So there are some people who are very nervous as a result of the ruling, plus the fact that it is being recommended that DNA evidence be used to make sure that daddy is daddy and mommy is mommy. Now, here's what Dwayne Sands had to say with regard to why the government needs to proceed with caution when it comes to this whole question of having to use DNA to prove that parental connection. Here's what he had to say.
We are already operating under a legislative approach enshrined in the Status of Children's Act, right? And that outlines what types of things ought to be considered in determining, whether somebody is a father. So the person was married to the mother. The person was married to the mother, and that marriage was terminated by death. The person was cohabiting with the mother. The person was recognized to be, by the court, the father of the child. The person has sworn an affidavit, and so on and so forth, right? So we have not used DNA testing to any great extent in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Now, Sands warns that many may seek to have that DNA testing done to prove paternity, which he says would cause several issues that government must address.
This is a significant matter, and I think the government's going to need to determine when DNA is going to be used and when it's not going to be used. But the more you use it, it has the potential of upending a number of things that exist in this country. You swear an affidavit, and the DNA does not confirm what is said in the affidavit, then what?
Now, Dr. Sands is trying to be diplomatic in how he says this, right? So you sign this affidavit to say this is your child, and now you got to produce DNA evidence to prove it so the child can get citizenship. And woe is me, come to find out what you signed for ain't exactly the case biologically.
Absolutely.
And then what?
Yeah.
Now,
right.
Here's my thing, Sienna, before you jump in. He says, then what? Here's what we need to understand in this whole discussion. We ain't talking about giving out candy. We ain't talking about giving out M&Ms or Skittles or now and later. We ain't talking about, we are discussing citizenship of your country, which clearly, in spite of all of the activities that are going on around us, should not be taken lightly. You're talking about the birthright, okay, of a nation. You're talking about citizenship. So when you're talking about handing out citizenship, I would think that in spite of how the chips fall, you would want to make sure that before you hand out this citizenship, you have gone to the best possible approach to determine whether or not, in fact, that person is the biological parent of this particular child in question. So when he says, so then what? So then what? If it comes to find out that you signed this affidavit to say you're the daddy, because that's what the mother tell you.
He's still a daddy. He's just not a citizen.
You just can't pass on the citizenship to the child when they're yours. We talking citizenship. We ain't talking about giving them candy. Here's the thing. We could pretend all we want. There are some instances where women come from other countries already pregnant from somebody in the country where they come from. And if they're showing, they could easily swing one Bahamian fella, rub your head twice, swing him. They come together, and the next thing you know, oh, praise the Lord, you can be a daddy.
But Michelle, pause right there. You could bring a young child in the country already, that's not even your child, where you're not the mother, and you get a person to sign an affidavit saying he's the father. So neither you're not the mother and he's not the father.
So this is why the DNA recommendation makes absolute sense, and there's no other way to do this.
See, unlike, for instance, I sign an affidavit for a child that's not mine saying that I'm the father.
Right.
Guess what? That child can't pass on my fatherhood. But if I sign an affidavit that gives this child citizenship, that child can pass it on. That's why this is the highest level, regardless of what the child protection law or whatever the inheritance law says. This, you should not even have a discussion about what those laws says. We could retroactively make those laws because we're going to have to correct some of those laws.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to set the highest standard for citizenship, for the rules for citizenship, and then go and adjust those other laws to make sure they're in harmony with the citizenship laws. Because what happens is that you have, let's use an example. We have young children that is brought into this country.
Mm-hmm.
No mother, no father, no proof of it. You have no evidence of even the child being born to the mother because the child was not born in the Bahamas.
Very good point.
In fact, now you have individuals coming out, mothers and fathers, who are saying they have children born in the Bahamas and they did not have the child in the hospital.
You ain't got no kind of birth certificate, no record or nothing.
Right. And so, again, so as the fathers begin to prove their citizenship, as the mothers begin to prove their citizenship, you can see where the trouble begins. And so when you begin to look at the citizenship law, we have to make sure. See, there may be an attempt to simply say effective from today, but verifying from the past. It convolutes the area as opposed to have a simple law that takes effect retroactively, saying mother and father provides paternity, except in the instance of in fact, I wouldn't even say that. Let's say even in marriage, we should check. Let the chips fall where they may. But
you gotta check whether the person is married or not.
So what happens is you simply say anyone make an application for citizenship retroactively, born in the country or even out of the country, must submit proof of paternity and maternity. And I love women who will argue with this. We scream about equality. Okay, good. Let's have a law of equality right now. Period. And people are going to say, oh, DNA costs. DNA costs right now, when bought in bulk, say by a government or court system, could cost about $25 to $50 each.
Yeah, I know money.
The question I have to ask you, for the conveyance of citizenship, does it is it worth $100 to protect your citizenship, or is it worth $100 to have your citizenship? And so, but the problem is that when you make these laws retroactively, I want you to listen to me very carefully. You could very easily disqualify some people who have citizenship who should not have gotten it.
Pretty much.
Yes. And so what happens is these are, it's like what we're saying is we've made a lot of mistakes along the way in the last 50 years, and we want to take the position of let sleeping dogs lie. But you have to understand, you may have given citizenship inadvertently given citizenship due to fraud. And this is where we always have this argument that the Constitution cannot support an illegal act. And so you have given it to fraud, and that person in the last 50 years subsequently have been handing out citizenship as a virtue of that fraud.
Wow.
Okay? And they may have had another set of children too. And so this is why this is huge. Not just the ruling, but the opportunity for us to look at what we've been doing in retrospect for the last 50 years and actually move to correct it in the age of technology. And DNA is just one of those technology that is it gives probability, even if it doesn't say on a few occasions it's say 100%, say 99.9%. And so when you look at the probability of it not being so, it's in the billions. Okay, so we could, by virtue of the argument of science, say who is whose children in absolute in each instance.
Why you think some people so scared of that? Why are people scared of that?
But here's what happens. As you begin to build this database, you may have some people in this town who may find out that they have brothers and sisters long after their father has been dead. You may have some oligarchs and plutocrats,
my lord,
who might be millionaires and billionaires with these pretty names, may have some people over the hill saying, hey, bro, hey, sis. Because in the same way you do ancestry DNA, imagine that I have a prominent name from the political circle and from the oligarch class, and I go to have a test from my father, and it says that, by the way, see Alan Johnson, for whom your name, my name is Alan C. Johnson, my father's name is Alan C. Johnson. It says, the Alan C. Johnson, who you have named, is not your father, but there's a guy at Life and Key that matches 99.8% when your mom stopped by.
So now you're going to knock on that man's door and his wife answer the door.
Right. Or I knock on my brother or sister door because he done died. And so what happens
and now you're saying to your brother and sister who got all kind of millions of dollars and living large that you are joint heir.
Yes, because what happens was my right to the inheritance was only excluded because at the time of the division, you were unaware that there were other people entitled to that division.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem.
That's not a problem.
No, I say that for some people. For some people, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a headache.
Now, here's the problem you're going to have, right? And so this is where we also have to have an argument concerning compelling DNA. And because what is going to happen is that you're going to have some prominent people in this town that has gotten away with supporting a child for the first 5 years to get past certain limitations and then write the child off. One of their stops in the over city or inner cities or whatever. And so now you may have some prominent people who felt secured over the last decades, who have children and who even in their senior years, for which they have chosen not to recognize, can now be brought into the light. And so,
because I don't know how much it is still happening, but back in the day, them lighter hue people used to like to come over the hill to get little dark berry juice and then go back to their lighter hue wives.
Well, you have plenty maids, but understand some of them had some maids who used to come to them.
Yeah. This has happened quite a bit in the past. So, they got children all over the place that were never really acknowledged as their children. But we all know that they had children, some of them, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, they say.
Right.
But those children were never
Recognized.
recognized.
But what happens, so what you have to also understand is that when you look at this, we have where people acknowledge paternity. And we could have, understand this now, since 1984, the Bahamas could have began using DNA. The question we have to ask ourselves, why since 1984, whenever it became available, we have chosen to go by the way of affidavits and have made it a routine of certification where someone says, you remember they say, I was born 20, 30, 40 years ago and somebody witnessed them. But now we can find your brother and your sister, because I've heard arguments that, oh, my dad is dead, my mom is dead. Well, your dad's DNA.
Yeah, that the DNA still could be determined. Yeah,
right. And you can determine brothers and sisters, and so theirs can be claimed all along the way. So what they're looking at,
we have a couple of callers waiting, Sam. I have 2 callers on the line waiting. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi. Very interesting and eye-opening show that you have. One question, 2 questions. The first one is the Privy Council.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to be, the ruling is to be made retroactive?
Yes.
Okay. Next thing, Joe. If you notice that most men, especially in the Bahamas, and they, going around plastic, they don't find the birth certificates for women. I mean, the mother, their children. How are they going to figure that in? Is that where DNA comes in?
Yes, that's what DNA is the fingerprint of God, for lack of a better word. And no affidavit, no witnessing. Even I could contest a video of me in the room with a woman, naked, doing the act, but I cannot contest DNA.
Yeah, that proves once and for all whether or not you are or aren't related to that child.
And my final question I want to pose is that, we have a lot of persons who are born in the Bahamas, and I'm going to use examples of Asian parentage. And what happens is that some of them were deported to Haiti without, before they could have gotten, at a young age. Now, the problem we have now is that birth certificate, person can come back from Haiti with a birth certificate. How are we going to prove without DNA that is the person who has the birth certificate?
Well, this is why it's being recommended that DNA be used to prove once and for all.
Right. This is what DNA connects it. You can't make a claim. Once you do DNA, the person has to be in the Bahamas with a matching DNA for you to make a claim. Now, you have to understand too, is that once a person, say a female that went to Haiti, if she has children and she's not married, they also have a right to make an application for DNA. This is why it's important for us to require DNA of the female also, because they have incomplete records in many countries, say Haiti, Jamaica, and other places, and you don't want someone simply to say, these are my 5 kids that's 40 years old now or whatever. So you have to ask for both male and female to authenticate that you're not deciding to pick up 10 kids and say these are your kids that you're bringing back, because once they become citizen, and if they have kids, imagine a person that was removed from the country 40 years ago, and they have had kids, and they have a daughter that's at 16 that had a child, and then that child had other children. They could very have derivative citizenship. So that's why it's important. And this is why I'm saying to you, this could be tens of thousands of individuals, more so for the individuals that has left the country and has a right to make a claim for citizenship. And this is why we really have to now bring technology into the immigration office now. And now I'm saying this is not something we can do by hand and by paper. This is purely technology and science.
Yes. And Miss Michelle, the song you play is Count Bernardino.
Yes.
That's got to be a substitute for the national anthem now, because You probably hear plenty saying, your daddy ain't your daddy, but your daddy don't know.
Sean, this is
I can add to that your mommy and your mommy, because you bring a young child, you give them to a woman because your mommy is in another country, and they grow up thinking this woman is their mom, and they're not. So now I can be your daddy and your mommy ain't you.
There's a serious Pandora's box. We have another caller waiting. Caller, thank you so much. Hello, caller. Welcome to GPS.
God bless you. Good day, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good today, Alan. Several points of interest. First of all, the point of retroactive decision that was made by the Privy Council. At what point in our history is that retroactive?
July 9th, 1973.
Oh.
No, July 10th at 12:01 a.m.
Okay, July 10th, 1973.
Oh, okay. So for our complete history as an independent nation.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. From personal experience, on 2 points of view. One, I am the father of a child that was born out of wedlock. And for the first 17 years of my daughter's life, I was not in her life because I could not prove that she was my child. I mean, literally, I'm unable to see, so I couldn't even say that by sight. But others around me knew it. The DNA, 99.99999, however many digits behind that dot it goes, confirmed, prove without a doubt that my child is my child.
Right.
That's experience number one. Experience number two. I have a brother, or I have family members in the States, sisters, siblings over there. My natural father, he got married when he went over there in the late 60s, had a family. And his children in marriage could claim Bahamian citizenship based on our country's constitution. But their children, my grandfather's and my dad's grandkids, cannot. Even though a brother of mine, for example, who was born over in the United States to my father's family when he was married, while he was married, the brother can claim citizenship on my father's account. But he, as a Bahamian in the United States, cannot claim, or his children rather, cannot claim citizenship, Bahamian citizenship based on his second generation citizenship.
Now,
the reason I'm mentioning that is, I heard you all mention a while ago that,
Derivative.
Pardon?
Derivative.
Yes. How far back does that go? This derivative citizenship claim?
Now, here's what happens. We have not clarified that in law. Here's what happens.
Yeah, we need to.
Absolutely. Here's what happens. In the Bahamas, you're required to have a birth certificate. This is something as a concept called jus soli, of the soil, and jus sanguineus, which is right of blood. We're now talking about right of blood over the country. An argument can be made that a child was entitled to be registered as a Bahamian, but your entitlement doesn't happen until you make an application of a child born outside of the Bahamas, because they were automatically given a birth certificate in the country for which they were born. So we have this concept. We use the word automatically. That's not much. You have an automatic entitlement, but no one knows until you make application to be registered. An argument can be made in law that you did not get citizenship until the application is made, and it's from that point forward, because you cannot make an application in retroactively. And so the person, even though they have a right to citizenship, by themselves, they cannot make application for citizenship. Citizenship is protected to the person born out of the country for the rest of their life at any time they make application, and it isn't given to them at birth, in spite of how we use the language.
Okay, Alex, for clarity's sake, because you're saying a lot of things here, just to cut to the chase. Am I understanding you correctly when you're saying that if a person is born, their birth certificate, once that is filed, that of course validates them as being a Bahamian citizen. But if they don't have a birth certificate and they may claim they are entitled to apply, not entitlement to the citizenship itself?
No. Everybody's entitled to apply. Listen to me, please. The Constitution protects your right to get it. When you apply, it doesn't give it to you because you were born over the country. Upon application, you cannot be denied it. But it isn't given to you.
I'm so confused with not with you necessarily, but with the law. I'm so confused with
yes, I'm saying yes, what happens? We're talking exclusively in the country, you get a birth certificate on the day you're born.
Yeah.
That is automatic. Now let's talk So let's leave the Bahamas now and go to the US.
Yeah.
As an example, a child born to a Bahamian mother in the US, married or unmarried, let's use the unmarried mother.
Right.
Gets a US citizenship on birth. Yes.
Yep.
That's called Just Soleil in the US. That child is entitled upon application to be given a Bahamian citizenship. Because the Constitution protects it, you can't deny it. Whereas for me, as a Bahamian male, single, the Constitution provides no protection, so you could deny my children if you choose to. But you cannot deny the single Bahamian woman because the Constitution protects that one.
So in other words...
For a second. When that child is born in the U.S., in spite of what people are saying, that child is not a Bahamian in law. An application has to be made for that child to be registered as a Bahamian, and they will become a Bahamian as of the date of that request, not on the day they were born. Their entitlement is from the day they were born. They'll become citizens.
Yeah. I'm hearing you, Alan, but the law is a little confusing.
No, it's not.
The law is a little confusing. But
no, it's not.
Let me just say this one, and I want to conclude on this note. You all made a commentary about our history in terms of, the lighter hue going over the hill and, and having their little rump in the hay, using, paraphrasing, etc., etc. Michelle, it brings back the point that I made on your show some time ago when I asked about a particular law that Bahamian men back then, like 60, 70, 80 years ago, and this unfortunately had to do with racism, because it applied to white men who had children out of wedlock with black women, but because of the stigma or the racism back then, the black men by law were not recognized as the father, but yet they were obligated by law to take care of the children. Now, again, see, Alan, would you happen to know of that? If you do, please, do you know what law?
Yes, pause right there, right?
Law that is?
I don't want to confuse the law. I don't want to confuse the law pre-1973, July 10th.
Yeah,
allow me just to interject something.
But JT, just let me make a point. Because all of those children who were citizens of the British Empire or whatever we want to use became citizens in 1970.
Automatically, yes.
So we don't need to talk about that's a paternity, that's a child support and other different issues.
Okay.
Because no matter who their father was, the fact that they were British citizens or British subjects made them citizenships. I don't want to convolute.
Yeah. Stay focused. And I have a cell phone caller on. Okay? All right, Michelle, thanks for calling, JT. Caller, welcome to GPS.
How you doing, madam?
Good. How are you?
And everybody.
Good, thank you.
Yes, I'm calling about a statement he made about mixing up the Bahamas law and United States law. My daughter was born in America, and when she was born, her mother's American citizen, and I'm a Bahamian father. And when she was born, she was granted citizenship because her mother didn't come into the country legally, and she was an American citizen. All right. Their laws are different from our law. If you come into the country illegally here in the Bahamas, and you don't have no rights, your child don't have citizens and no grounds to the country because you are illegal. We try to bend the law. There are two different laws here. The laws of the Bahamas is totally different from the laws from the United States. So I want to mix that up.
Yeah,
with my daughter trying to get dual citizenship for the Bahamas, and at the time when I was trying to do that, I couldn't get it because she wasn't born of the Bahamas.
No, but
And
sir,
our Constitution is set up totally different. Your mother must be a Bahamian to become a Bahamian. And I feel it needs to stay that way. I think the government is doing certain things what they shouldn't do, and they've been getting away with it.
But
your
caller, your opinion doesn't change the ruling of the Privy Council.
Well,
no, but let me just
whatever the government tell them to do.
No, it don't work like that.
Oh, yes, anybody who knows it, knows it.
No,
Go ahead,
by the government.
Sir, your case has nothing to do with this ruling. However, it is addressed in the Constitution. Were you married?
You come into the country legally and born a child.
Sir, if you allow me to speak,
now, if you come into the country, when you get proper documentation, you get legal papers, and you have a child, now you have rights.
That has nothing to do with this ruling, sir. With all due respect, sir, the ruling change. You're not right.
Michelle, let me.
Your argument is not really based on this ruling.
No, he has a point. No,
they did what they want to do because, again, judges are appointed by the governance of the land, and the Privy Council are judges as well. So the government of the land will get everything they want when they put in place. This is the PLP government, and they can put some things in place.
So you're trying to tell me that the PLP government dictated to Privy Council in London what ruling they should make with regard to our Constitution?
I'm trying to tell you that whatever.
Michelle, he has convoluted three different issues.
Yeah, okay.
That's what goes on in this country.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling.
So let me. What you have done is you have conflated and convoluted three different issues. If you are not, first of all, you talk about a child born outside of the Bahamas. If you are not married to the woman, you have no protection in the Constitution. However, you have a pathway in law. Now, if the woman was a Bahamian, she has a protection, and that child has a right to be registered upon application. That's the deal with your child being born outside. The U.S. has a law of absolute jus soli, right of the soil. Legal or illegal in the U.S., and any child born in the U.S. is a citizen. The Bahamas has a conditional jus soli for which the court clarified one part of it. Here's the part. It says that any child born to a Bahamian in the Bahamas is a citizen at birth. It did not address the issue of two foreigners having a child in the Bahamas. Okay, now that becomes a separate argument concerning can the Constitution condone illegality. We need to have that conversation, but that has nothing, and this is where we
absolutely nothing to do with
now,
what we're talking about.
Understand this: if a Haitian, Jamaican, Guyanese, whatever man enters the Bahamas and have a child with a Bahamian woman, whether he entered legally or illegally, that child is a Bahamian. If a Haitian, Jamaican, Guyanese, whatever woman enters the Bahamas legally or illegally and have a child with a Bahamian man, that child is a Bahamian.
According to this ruling. Yes.
Right.
And according
it's
to
a separate conversation concerning two illegal persons. Now, it's very important for you to use the word two illegal persons, because you could have a man or woman enter the country illegally and have a child with a foreigner who happens to be legal. See, these are conversations we don't have. So it isn't just two foreigners. There's an argument concerning the illegality of two individuals who have entered the country illegally that we may need to address. But that's a separate conversation for another day.
We are way beyond the time for the break. So we are going to take a break. And I know this can be confusing. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to do this show today, to try to bring some clarity to this matter. Understand that this really, Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson says it all the time. This is nothing. When it comes to the Constitution, your feelings don't matter. Your opinion don't matter. The Constitution is the Constitution. And whether you agree with it or not, it is always right. So you saying, well, this is how I feel, so what? That makes no difference to anybody when it comes to what is within this Constitution. And now this ruling handed down by the Privy Council, retroactive to July 10th, 1973, is saying that for all of these 50 years, the interpretation of your own constitution that has governed how citizenship was handled was wrong. So now we have this Pandora's box that is about to be open, and plenty of people nervous because all kind of secret can come out now that they don't necessarily want to come out, but it is what it is, because when you're talking about handing out citizenship, you better use the best method possible to prove whether or not that person is entitled to that citizenship. Signing an affidavit don't mean nothing, because anybody could sign a piece of paper. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after
Your
this.
body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Well, weeks went by, the summer came around, the boy went out, another girl he found. He went to Daddy to name the day. Daddy looked at him, and then he say, "You can't marry that girl, son. I got to let you know, she also is your sister, but Mama don't know." It's me. Shame in the family. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's me. Shame and scandal in the family. Well, this went on for a long time. Every time the boy found a girl, go to daddy. He said, Daddy, I got a nice girl now. Want to get married. Daddy said, son, let me see the girl. But every time you bring a girl to daddy, daddy say that's your sister too. After 5 girls, the boy got kind of fed up. Couldn't understand it. Decided to go to mommy and tell mommy what daddy said. And this what happened that night. Ran to his mommy, palmed down his head, told his mommy what daddy said. Your mother looked at him. She said, go, son, go. Your daddy ain't your daddy, but your daddy don't know. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is me. Your daddy ain't your daddy, but your daddy don't know.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a problem, y'all. At least some of us do when it comes to this. The implications of this ruling. My guest today is C. Alan Johnson. Before we bring him back into the studio, a reminder of how you can be a part of this show today. Telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. WhatsApp line 8010271. 8010271 for calls and messages. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Global 99.5 FM and Michelle Malcolm pages, also on our YouTube channels. Catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974 and on your radio dial on Global 99.5 FM. My guest today is C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about the implications, the fallout, the Pandora's box that has now been opened as a result of this ruling by the Privy Council as it relates to citizenship of the Bahamas and the ability to prove that a particular child has been fathered by or mothered by a Bahamian woman and thereby entitled to citizenship at birth, retroactively all the way back to July 10th, 1973. We are talking about major upheaval in this country as a result of this ruling. This isn't just, I want you all to understand the weight of this ruling and how it impacts so many different, as Dwayne Sands would have inferred in that clip that we played, so many aspects of life in the Bahamas will be impacted by this ruling. This ain't light.
Right, it isn't. But Michelle, let's say this. This will affect the child custody law. This will check the child sustaining law. And this, most importantly, causes us to now focus on a process to which a national identification system is needed. Today, you can go to the hospital and give a name and have a child, and that's what goes down on the record as the name of the mother and the name of the child. And there's no substantive proof that exists after leaving the hospital of a positive identification of that individual who they say they are. A person can enter this country, give a name at the hospital, and then they create a record, and that person participates in the system with that name, which may not be their real name. And so we then assume that the person could pick up the name from a graveyard. The person could just randomly chose a name, and by virtue of time, they have acquired IDs through fraud and all these other different things. And so we then now need to have a national ID system that uses biometrics as part of the system. So whoever presents themselves to the hospital, more so a female or even a male coming to the hospital to claim who he is, to present positive ID as to who they are. This ruling shows the make-believe form of governance, the way we've been pretending of running things. And like the caller who was very concerned said, is we were making stuff up. I want to use another word for the S as we go along. So now we can look at this as an opportunity to embrace the technological revolution, because this is not rocket science. We are still a small country. We are like a small city in the United States and other places. And so even going retroactively using technology becomes, this is not complicated. You punch in the DNA, you positively identify all persons within your countries, problem solved. Now, here's the problem with that, Michelle. Imagine that you use DNA and you find out that you could search across the database for relatives the way you do at Ancestry and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out, like the Migo just said, that your sister is also your auntie. And so it sounds like it's funny, but it could be some explaining. I say some explaining to do in what it is. And so the problem that I think Dwayne Sands was focusing on is the fact that we don't have a proper social safety net, which goes back to the point that in 2006 or so, under the Perry Gladstone Christie administration, I don't know whether it was actual government or a company that came in with permission of government, came in and did a sampling of DNA. People can check. It was at the mall in 2006. And that was shut down when the sampling began to show that people wasn't who they say they were, and children didn't belong to who they say they belong.
They shut it down.
Yes, because the social safety net would have to kick in. Because understand, the social safety net says any child without a parent or whatever, the state becomes the parent. Okay? Now, we have to be careful about this, and it's very careful that we have to make sure that we protect our citizenship laws. So understand this. If both parents abandon a child, legal or illegal, that child becomes a ward of the state. And the state becomes obligated to provide proper identification. And in some instances, the state already has been given citizenship to children who's been left in their ward in the Department of Social Services. The Department of Social Services become their parents. So that's another part that we have to examine, where we have accommodated them with ID system, including passports, when they should maybe not have been entitled to. And so this is where we have to begin to have another set of ID system for individuals that hasn't yet transitioned to citizenship. And that ID system can give them all rights and privileges, including a second passport if it doesn't. There's one for citizens and one for non-citizens. Because passport, we just have this singular passport saying if you're a citizen, you have a passport. That we need to create another benchmark for citizenship other than the issuance of passport, which then becomes the DNA because it becomes a system. But what happens is the difference between a citizen and a resident has only one absolute: the ability to vote, or two, I should say, and the ability to pass on citizenship. So you have to begin to question, if I say that you're in my country, or you could come to my country, and you could have all rights and privileges identical to me under the Constitution, except for the right to vote and the right to pass on citizenship, then what are you fighting for? If the only thing you could fight for is the fact that you have a plan of changing the composition of my country.
So are you suggesting that could be a possible solution for persons who over all of these years thought they had a legitimate citizenship and DNA proves otherwise? So now, instead of kicking them out of the only country that they know, now we say, okay, we're going to create a second, for want of a better word, class, where you are a permanent resident. You have all of the rights except to vote and to pass on citizenship. And you get a different, maybe color passport or something. Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. And in the same way, we are now giving away citizenship. We're selling citizenship because we give them jobs and we say in 5 years or whatever, you can apply for citizenship. We now must create a concrete path for other individuals who are not captured by the Constitution. We have to set some stringent guidelines for citizenship. 20 years of records of housing, school, and contribution to the community, like Singapore do. You can't just apply for citizenship. They want to know, what is your integration into our society? And so what happens then is that after 20 years or 25 years of proving yourself worthy of this most illustrious honor, we will give you citizenship, which then gives you the ability to pass it on to other people. But even when you have children in the country, they too will automatically from day one will almost be exempted for the first 18 years. So let's say we say you have to do something for 25 years. They will almost be exempted for the first 18 years of their life because they would be under your guidance and protection. So they would then have to prove themselves for 5 years or 7 years, or we could put 10 years for any child on into the Bahamas who's not a citizen. After they reach the age of 18, the age of consent and responsibility, they have 10 years where your parents may have 20 or 30. You have 10 years of showing your integration involvement in our society. And so you simply say you can travel to the U.S. because the U.S. will, because we have the proper identification through biometrics or otherwise, the U.S. will treat both passport as a document of the Bahamas. It's just that we won't say, well, the people can't go to school because they don't have a passport. The people can't do this. They can't go shopping in Miami because they don't have a passport. We can say, no, you have an identity. Because remember, the United States is concerned about.
You can talk. We have a caller. So give me a moment.
Countries that allow us to enter want the security of knowing the person is who they say they are, and we've never taken action to create that environment.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello, good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, T. Allen.
Good afternoon.
Michelle, you does a masterclass every Monday with Professor Thompson.
Yes.
Everything T. Allen is saying goes against your masterclass. Listen to me. We listening to him, what he's saying, but it goes against what the professor says.
How so?
And I know the professor listening.
How so?
How the teacher say if a child in the Bahamas becomes a custody of the state, if they don't have their parents, then the Haitian constitution states that they is Haitian. You're not talking about Jamaica. You're not talking about Trinidad. You're not talking. Hold on, wait a minute, man. I have a cell phone. I can listen. I can hang up and listen to you. I didn't know you were. Please listen. Yes, he better hold on because please listen to your show, Michelle, for information. Your show is educate plenty people. I'm telling you, that's why we listen to your show. Plenty people in this Bahamas Lesson show. When we talk on the streets, we talk about how we could tune into your show. Because your show is informative. I'm not complimenting you, that is the truth. You have a very informative show. We love your show for real information because everybody's be talking garbage. If you have a master class with Doc, C. Allen cannot come on your show and contradict what Doc say. You had another gentleman, fellow, I think he was on Monday. There's another young gentleman, I don't know what his name is, but he was quoting what it was and talking about the immigration thing and the Haitian constitution stuff like that. You cannot say it becomes the property state. Listen to me. And what he's doing is mixing up the United States with the Bahamas. The Bahamas is not in the same situation as the United States. Their constitution is different from our own. So tell C. Allen, stop talking with two tongues and stop misleading people.
Sir, if you want to listen, you can call me. I'll give you your minutes back. No,
your show is an informative show. We love your show. We love you. And we need real talk on your show. Keep it real, Michelle. This is why we listen to your show. You have just about everybody, the Bahamas listen to your show. Government workers, all of us, we listen to your show. Because your show is informative. We don't need nobody to come on your show. We don't need a techno guru. C. Allen proclaimed to be a techno guru. We don't need a techno guru to come on your show to be constitutionally sound and be immigrationally sound. We don't know that ain't what he doing.
Sir, you repeated yourself.
I will hang up. I will listen to his respect. I will, Mister, you online. Brother, I use my cell phone minutes. All right? Right now. We will hang up. Brother. We will hang up and listen to your response. Whatever it is you got to say, stop misleading the people.
Okay.
And they don't know why you bring him on this damn.
Okay.
Michelle, let me answer. Nothing I said conflict with what Professor Sidney Walter McCartney Thompson said.
Quite frankly, hold on. Quite frankly, if you did, he would have done call here.
No, but let me explain something.
Because Professor listens to the show.
This is where people get the laws of the Bahamas and the Constitution wrong. Sidney Walter MacArthur Thompson teaches you about the blueprint for creating the laws. You could create a law in the Bahamas, any law in the Bahamas, as long as it does not conflict with the Constitution. 99% of the laws in the Bahamas is not mentioned in the Constitution, sir. As long as it does not conflict with the Constitution, it's a law. It's the blueprint for building the house.
But as Professor Thompson has pointed out, there are some laws that do conflict with what is in the Constitution.
As I'm saying to you, and those are not laws; those are misnomers. I'm saying to you, he's arguing a law concerning custody of a child. Whether the child is Haitian, Zimbabwe, United States citizen, or whatever, the laws of the Bahamas, not the Constitution, says that child become a ward of the state. The Constitution protects certain modes for which you can become a citizen.
You're talking about children that are abandoned by their parents.
Yes. Okay.
Regardless of the paternity of the parent.
There you go. Now listen to me carefully. Because the Constitution did not guarantee you citizenship, number 12 of the Constitution says they may make a law for citizenship. And if it doesn't conflict with this document, you can't say nothing about it except to get some people in there to change the laws. So don't confuse the 8 ways of becoming citizens in the Bahamas with the 20 ways in law. Okay? So there's more than 8 ways in law to become a citizen of the Bahamas, because we sell citizenship in law because it is not prohibited in the Constitution. When we say to someone, you could stay here, come here and get a work permit where we'll pay you to live here and work here, and then when you stay here long enough, you could give us some money and we make you a citizenship. That's the virtue of selling citizenship. They had no ties, no protection in the Constitution, but we're making them citizenship every week.
But that does go against what is in the Constitution.
Huh? Say again?
That does go against what is in the Constitution.
No. We could make, listen to me.
What do you mean no?
No, I'm saying to you, the issuance of a law, if you create a law to simply say, if you stay in the Bahamas for 10 years without leaving, you can become citizen in the Bahamas, does not conflict with the Constitution. It may be wrong. It may be disagreed by the majority of people. This is why we can't, this is why you always hear me argue. We must come to understand the Constitution of what is protected. There is 8 protection of citizenship in the Constitution. 8. 4 for women, or actually it's 5 for women, and 3 for men. That's a married woman in the Bahamas, a married woman out of the Bahamas, a single woman in the Bahamas, a single woman out of the Bahamas, a married man in the Bahamas, a married man out of the Bahamas, a single man in the Bahamas, and it does not protect a single man. It gives no protection to a single man outside of the Bahamas. Now understand this. The one instance we give citizenship protection is to a foreign woman who happened to be married to a Bahamian man. That's the 8 of the 9 different ways. We have people arguing that we should have 10 different ways. But again, you must understand the Constitution, because the Constitution only protects rights. It permits discrimination, right? Or it prevents something. There's nothing in the Bahamas that prevents anything from being in law. Nothing. Our Constitution do not give it. However, there is some permission for discrimination in the Bahamas. We know one as the Gaming Act, and it doesn't discriminate against Bahamians. It discriminates against residents.
Are you suggesting by what you're saying, because we often hear the professor say this, are you suggesting that the Constitution is not the supreme law of the land?
It is the supreme law. But listen to what I'm saying to you. With the professor, I listen to the shows. The professor speaks very specifically to some laws in the Bahamas that conflicts with the Constitution. The professor doesn't speak to the thousands of laws on our books. He says these are practices now that conflicts with the Constitution. Because
Right.
the professor cannot go through the 1,000 laws that is not in the Constitution. So there's some practice in citizenship law that can be questioned, and that is where two foreigners are given the right of citizenship to a child born at 18. We can question that. There's some issues in the laws of citizenship, and this is why when we keep looking at the Constitution, you may miss the 30 or 40 ways these guys are giving away citizenship in law. Go read the laws and then compare them to the Constitution. Says, does the Constitution permits this? Does the Constitution prohibits this? And then we'll begin to see some things fall away. I'm having a conversation today to say we have to be very careful that we don't allow them to expand these laws, not the Constitution. We cannot change the Constitution except in a referendum. We must be very careful by sleight of hand. These individuals can write laws that goes further when the average Bahamian would want, because those laws they create does not conflict with the Constitution. For instance, we are demanding now DNA as the laws of absolute. The Privy Council recommended. The Bahamas government can go pass a law tomorrow saying all you need is an affidavit. See, we have to watch for those things.
Or as Dwayne Sands is suggesting, some could be with affidavit and some could be with DNA.
Right. So,
he's suggesting that you have to look at this sort of case by case.
Right. So as citizens, it is important. Dr. Sidney Walter McCartney Thompson teaches you, learn the principle. So when the law violates these principles, you could reject it. Nothing I say is in this thing. He and I do the same thing. We teach and educate you. And I'm simply saying to you, I'm expanding to you to simply saying these laws that have implications if we don't take protection, such as DNA. And I'm saying to you how these laws could have implications in and outside of the Bahamas. So I want you to understand, please tune in on Mondays and then go back and replay it so you can hear it again. And then I want you to go and pick up the laws. Go to BahamasLaws.com. I have a website that leads you straight to it, BahamasLaws.com, right? Or lawsofthebahamas.com that takes you straight to every single law in the books. And I say to you, expand your thinking and read the laws so you could see where they are creating citizens that does not violate the Constitution, but goes against orderly and good governance in our country.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, how you doing, Michelle?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I listen and I just started to listen to your show recently. With the professor. I don't know who was the gentleman name, C. Allen.
Yeah.
Whatever he ranting about, it sound good to him out space, but it totally conflict of what I hear on your masterclass, and I only rolling on y'all as be saying. So I don't want him interrupt, because I even call and come, he like to talk. That man like to talk. He don't listen, he like to talk. People who believe they rubbish, right? Something wrong with them. I'm saying, if y'all telling me the Constitution is the supreme law,
let me read it for you.
You feel what I'm saying? And nothing was created against the Constitution cannot see he talking again. Why only woman is talk like that? Let me finish, bro. And then when I done, you could talk. I'm saying, he telling me now, your show confusing me now. At first I thought you was, and to me, why you ain't pushing back, Ms. Malcolm? You don't have to answer that. Answer that when I finish, because you listening to the same thing what I listening to what Professor say. And this man telling you he could create laws above the supreme laws. Like to me, that's where the confusion comes. Let me finish and I can bow out. I'm just saying, for a person who just getting into your show, I kind of like a little disappointed in the back and forth, because you just standing there and this man just rattling. And if he's saying you could make a law, when I hear because I just getting into the angle, I just getting into this Constitution thing. And the one thing you always push on this show on Mondays, so you always say the Constitution is the supreme law. And he's saying something else with that. I have a problem with that. Now I go on back into this confusion stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I appreciate you calling. Let me just clarify something, okay?
You know?
I don't hear what Cialan is saying as contradiction to what we discuss on Mondays. What he is saying is that in spite of what the Constitution says, oh crap, my camera just dropped out now. Let me see if I can get back in quickly. What he is saying is that in spite of what the Constitution says, our lawmakers over the years have been able to enact laws that don't necessarily contradict what is in the Constitution, although in some cases they do contradict what is in the Constitution. And this is why Professor on Mondays says, certain laws like those some found in the Nationality Act, which we've been discussing for the past couple of weeks,
right,
goes against what is in the Constitution.
Right.
But what Cialan is saying, and I'm sure he could do a better job at explaining this than I can. What Cialan is saying is that the lawmakers over the years have created laws not in contravention of what the Constitution says, but if the Constitution does not constrict them from creating these laws,
I get that,
then they create these laws. Now, in some instances, out of all of the laws that we have, there is this conflict between what the Constitution says and what the law says, like the Nationality Act, for instance.
Right. Now, let's hold that right there because I listened to 2 radio stations. Now, based on what he says, see, he can't pull back, retract, or nothing. I hear what he's saying. He's saying that they could make laws, you understand, what goes against the Constitution. Now,
that's what they've been doing, yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is, listening to you and another radio station, especially you, because somebody put me on to you, and I only keeping it real. I right back in this confusion stage, and then I kind of get confused with you. You know what I mean? I think you cool and everything. I just getting to know you. But for what the man is saying, the professor was saying to you, I think you should be on where you could push back towards this gentleman who online with you.
I'll agree with the professor on this.
I back into that confusion stage because he's talking all of this to me, things we ain't never conspire in the Bahamas, and he know that. But I'm saying don't confuse the people because we can, especially like me, I say just getting onto your show because of the interest in the Constitution. Now he's sending me right back into square one because he's saying to me, feel like, okay, what the thing is, what you say, the government is granting the citizenship over, right? You're always saying, okay, that's garbage, whatever the case may be. He's trying to me.
No. Nobody's saying anything is garbage. Nobody's saying anything is garbage.
No. I'm just saying.
Michelle, let me explain.
This is what the professor was saying. He's saying that it's not constitutional. Then let me use his words.
What is not constitutional?
What is not constitutional?
The whatever they was using, the grant citizenship.
No, but what? No, I'm saying to you.
That document, what he said, he just discovered, man.
The Nationality Act.
Right. He was saying that ain't constitutional, right?
There's some aspects of it that are and some that aren't.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Nationality Act.
Somebody put me on to you, so I just trying to. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I think I pick up where he's saying certain.
Michelle, can I explain to him, sir? Let me explain to you.
Did we lose the caller?
Hello.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Michelle, let me explain.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
explain what I'm saying.
Following y'all, I don't want to be confused because then y'all had me on track, like even pulling down to I ain't gonna lie, like I say. But now how he coming to explaining, he put me right back to the bottom of the barrel.
So caller,
I really don't get what he's saying.
Okay, so let's let him respond to you now. Cialan,
first of all,
hold on, Cialan. Make it plain.
I'm making
that
it
a
plain.
6-year-old could
A
understand.
professor, let
Make
me
it
just say
plain.
this.
I'm not trying to be insulting
A
to you when I
professor,
say that.
listen to me.
Because Allen tends to be very,
No, Michelle,
he
this is
tends
plain
to
and
go over
simple.
people's heads
The
sometimes.
professor never said all of the Nationality Act is illegal against the Constitution. He never
No,
said
he never.
that. Okay?
No.
We
He
are
took issue with some aspects of it.
right. He's saying, and I agree with him, there is some practices. I'm saying to you, the Constitution addresses 8 different ways that protects citizenship. In the Bahamas, we have maybe 20 different ways. Listen to me carefully. Has nothing to do with the Constitution. We have the Nationality Act is subject to the Constitution. It should be. We have 20 ways. Let's say we have 25 ways for citizenship in the Bahamas. Okay?
Through laws, not in the
laws, not to the Constitution.
law, right?
Now we must look at each of those laws, and Professor and I agrees. There's a few of those laws we use in the Nationality Act that violates the Constitution and needs to be addressed. We didn't say all of them are.
Right.
What I'm saying to you is, if in the Constitution says nothing about some people buying the right to live in the Bahamas, and after 10 years we give them citizenship. The Constitution doesn't address that.
But yet there is a law that does.
There's a law that says you can live in the Bahamas for 10 years, legal or illegally, and I'm saying it's wrong that you could enter my country illegally, sit on a bucket for 10 years, and apply for citizenship. I am saying, in spite of the law saying that can happen, it is wrong. That was never intent of our building a country.
So you and Professor saying the same thing.
I've been saying the same thing. I'm saying the problem I'm saying is people are listening to the Constitution. When we teach you about the Constitution, we're teaching you about the building blocks. And when something violates the rules of building or good governance, because the Constitution is about good governance. When what you have violates good governance, even though the Constitution may permit it, we should not do it. Okay? In the same way, the Constitution permits us to discriminate against residents in gambling. It didn't say we have to. It says if we want to, you don't have to. So I'm saying to you is that we have no prohibition in our Constitution because it gives us the ability to do almost unlimited things, and we have been abusing that with citizenship. I'm saying, as Bahamians, forget what the law says, understand what the Constitution says, and then we must decide the country we want. And we say, this is what we want. I don't care if the law says it's okay. I don't want it. Okay? So when we as a collective come in and say, the law says you can enter this country illegally, have children with 2 illegal individuals, and sit on a bucket and become a citizen, right? Guess what? I'm saying it's wrong, even though they say in law it's right. Now listen to another part.
Hold on.
The law says, I know, Michelle, this is a constitutional issue. For those individuals that have children in the Bahamas that can apply at 18, the Constitution gives you a right to deny them citizenship, even though it's protected. Because everybody reads that Constitution and they never read Part 2. Part 2 said, subject to national security and public policy. You can make a public policy and a national security law right now that disallow anybody from getting citizenship who enters illegally or who is the child of 2 children.
We have a cell phone caller, Allen. Take a break. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello, hi, Michelle. Good afternoon. And to your guest.
Good afternoon,
Professor. Why the professor don't appear on your show the same time as C. Allen?
We can arrange
that. I think if you're talking about this type of stuff, I think the professor should be on your show.
Okay.
The same time.
I'll see if I can work that out for Monday. I'll see if
Miss, please listen to me. If C. Allen will dare to come on, I think he needs to do it. And what he needs to do, he's very long-winded. And listen, man, please, tell him breathe sometimes on your show. We don't need to hear the plenty talking. We just need to know the facts. Please, Michelle.
Okay.
But we need the professor on your show. Professor,
I will work it out for Monday. I will work it out for Monday.
If you can hear me, Thank you, Professor. Come on the show along with T. Allen, and then you can put him in his place because we need to hear from you, please.
I will work it out for
on
Monday, caller. We got
Thank
another
you,
caller, and
Michelle.
I got
love you.
6
I
minutes
love you.
left
I
in the
love you.
show. Thank you. Caller, welcome. No, we lost that one. Okay, all right. We only got 6 minutes left.
Michelle, I think people.
See, Alan, can you come on the show on Monday?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I
good.
think people need to separate the laws of the Bahamas from the Constitution of the Bahamas.
Let's discuss that on Monday. I run out of time.
He talks about the Constitution, but these people are blending how they feel.
Let's
with
discuss
the laws of the Bahamas
on Monday.
and the Constitution of the Bahamas.
Let's discuss that on Monday with you and the professor on so we can clarify this, because the last thing I want to do is have people confused. Now, I want to play one more clip. This is from the Attorney General discussing the ruling and the way forward.
Today we'll discuss in Cabinet what measures are in place. One, to evaluate under Article 6 and the biological father in the case of illegitimate children. And secondly, the way forward with the remaining elements of discriminatory treatment. And primarily the discriminatory treatment when a Bahamian woman marries a foreign man and has that child outside of the country. But there are a couple of others, including matters with adopted children and the like that we're looking at. So hopefully we'll have some clear direction from Cabinet shortly.
Now, Michelle, let me say something.
No, I can't let you say nothing because
Michelle, because he deliberately convoluted the conversation. Michelle.
Yeah, but we got to take a break, C. Allen.
Okay, all right.
Well, calm down. Let's go to this break, and hopefully we have 1 minute left and we can let you respond in that 1 minute. Take a break.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all. Schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with mailboat to U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau.
Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
See, Alan, exactly 4 o'clock. I'm giving you 20
Let me
seconds.
just say something, Michelle. What the Attorney General said was convoluted. He says we're going to decide to take the recommendation of the Privy Council. Oh, by the way, let's talk about women who's married to foreigners. See how he convolutes and gaslights you? We have to stop that. He's talking about a non-issue, trying to cloud an issue because they want to distract you again, and that's what we have to stop.
Smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. But it's 4 o'clock. Monday. Don't miss Monday's show.
Yep.
We will have both C. Allen and Professor Thompson on, God willing, to try to bring some clarity, because the last thing I want to do is confuse my audience.
Michelle, tell them go to lawsofthebahamas.com and read the laws. Lawsofthebahamas.com or bahamaslaws.com. Both of them will take you there. Every single law in the Bahamas is there.
Gotta go. 4:01. We are 1 minute over time. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow's an open line show. See you guys tomorrow as we discuss the week that was. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global.